Let's talk about the unsung hero of interpreting. And the word in itself is a bit of a misnomer because it's called sight translation, technically interpreting. But I want to talk to you about two unusual, unorthodox uses of sight translation. But first, I'm just going to demonstrate it really quick. This is a text I have not seen. You see, I love making a fool out of myself. I'm just going to demonstrate sight translation, and then we'll talk about two unusual uses, okay? The coldest place in the world is the Russian village of Aymakon, which is located in the east. It houses about only 500 people. Usually, the temperature in the winter is around -50 Celsius, but once it hit -71 Celsius. However, the residents of the village are used to the cold. Everybody knows everyone and they help one another. The favorite meeting place for the villagers is a store where freshly baked bread is sold. There is no bar in the village since you're not allowed to sell either vodka or beer after 6 p.m. A drunken person could die out on the street very, very quickly. The day lasts for only about 3 hours in the winter, and in the summer it is light all day, all around. There is a festival in the village in March, and the festival is attended by many foreigners. They wish to feel what it's like to experience -50 below. So that was an example of sight translation. Not necessarily 100% perfect, maybe A minus, whatever. Let's talk about two unusual uses. First, the usual use would of course be like interpreting documents in court for a medical appointment, like something spontaneous that would need to be interpreted. But me being me, I use it in strange and weird ways, okay? But you have to be pretty darn good at sight translation to do this. I remember a case when a client said, I need to understand a 100-page contract. How long is this going to take and how much is it going to cost? And I said, it's going to take about a week at least or more, and it's going to cost several $1,000s. And he said, that doesn't work. I said, well, do you really need like beautiful, flubless translation, or is it just for your understanding? He said, it's just for my understanding to see what exactly I'm signing. So I said, hire me for a day. I will just interpret the bloody contract. Well, I didn't use the word bloody, using sight translation. And he did. And I interpreted maybe like 90% of it or 80% of it. He didn't need all, and voila. You can do this even with books. Like for example, let's say that you work with Russian and English or English and Spanish. Let's say there is a Spanish specialist, a doctor, a marketing expert, I don't know, a photographer, and he wants to really understand a certain text in English, but the book has not been translated officially. Well, you could unofficially sight translate the book for them, follow all the copyright, like don't publish it anywhere. But I have done this for people with voice messages and so forth. I think I've translated several books that way for my friends, and it's actually kind of fun. It's a lot of good practice, but I haven't done that with a book for money yet, but why not? Like in a few days, that person could have the translation of a book and you could make some very decent money. Again, like don't, publish it anywhere. Okay, one more very unusual use, and I keep saying this in clips, hasn't happened yet, probably because we haven't released them, but I'm going to get ostracized from the translation community for saying things like that, but I will say it nonetheless. I've actually conducted this experiment when translating a book. It was a business book I was translating from Russian to English, and because I'm a good sight translator, I took one chapter, maybe about 4 or 5 pages long, and I recorded myself with one of these voice recording programs where I was sight translating, and it was taking down my speech and translating into written text. I wanted to see if it would be quicker to get the chapter to a final version, a final edit, by regular, normal, orthodox translation or doing this. So let me explain how that works, right? Like I'm sight translating, the program is recording, then I get a file with a very rough translation, and then I have to review it, edit, and so forth. It actually ended up being exactly the same time, and so I stopped doing it. But the quality of the recorder was 87%. It means it was only taking down my speech 87%. So if I had found a better recording device, and if I had honed my site translation a little bit more, it's actually a valid technique. I know translators don't really do this, but it's actually kind of fun. And again, if you're a very good site translator, one, and two, the disclaimer is you obviously have to edit the heck out of it later. But if you're 95% precise, why not? So the unsung hero of interpreting, it's probably the least used mode of interpreting. Might be actually the hardest one to learn, even harder than simultaneous. But practice it, it's a lot of fun. And tell me your successes and your stories. And if you ever book a client that way, I want my cut. See you in the next clip.